Hey guys, so today we're going to go over properties of parallelograms. This will be pretty quick. Um, so first off, the definition of a parallelogram is a quadrilateral, meaning it has four sides, with both pairs of opposite sides being parallel. So that means this guy is parallel to this guy, and this guy right here is parallel to this guy. Now, with such a simple definition, there's actually a good few facts that just kind of immediately follow through from this very simple definition. First of all, being that if it is a parallelogram, then its opposite sides are congruent. So this guy is equal to this guy, and this guy is equal to this guy. Its opposite angles are congruent. So A would be congruent to C, and D would be congruent to B. Opposite meaning that they face each other. They're looking at each other in the shape. Consecutive angles are supplementary. So like A and D is an example of consecutive angles. That just means angles that lie on the same line or the same side. You could think of it that way. So these are supplementary, which would mean that they add up to 180. And just to reiterate, so A and B would also be consecutive angles, so would B and C, and so would D and C. Okay? And actually, if you tick mark them with which angle they are congruent to, that makes this kind of a lot more clear as well. Its diagonals bisect each other. So if I drew a diagonal from D to B and from A to C, okay, they intersect at this point. So bisect meaning it is cut into two equal halves, okay? So this half is equal to this half, and this half is equal to this half. Now note that for a parallelogram, the diagonals have no other real relationship to one each other. By that, I mean like they are not per se equal to one another. It's just that respectively, each diagonal itself is cut into two equal halves. Each diagonal cuts the parallelogram into two congruent triangles. So if I drew a diagonal here, that's a little wonky. Okay, clearly that is two congruent triangles. If I did it with the other diagonal from A to C, clearly these are also two congruent triangles. So both these diagonals individually, respectively, create two congruent triangles. So to do some quick examples, like example 1, this is just the most clear cut. I'll do 1, 2, and 3. So first, it's asking for side AD. Well, AD is right here, and it is congruent to BC, the side opposite of it. So that means AD is also A. Similarly, okay, it asks for DC. DC is right here, okay, and it is going to be congruent. Sorry, I should have put this here. It is going to be congruent to the side opposite to it. So this side right here, boom. So DC is also 15. Next, it wants measure angle A. So it doesn't really give me anything for measure angle A, but it gives me this, the consecutive angle that goes to it. So that tells me that these are supplementary, meaning they should add up to be 180 degrees. So we just do 180 minus 68, and we end up with 112. Okay, measure angle B. Okay, so B is going to be congruent to angle D, so this is 68 degrees. Measure angle C is going to be congruent to A, so that makes C also 112 degrees. Okay, going to example 2, first it asks for side UT. Well, UT is opposite to RS, and RS is 27. These two guys are going to be congruent, so this guy is also 27. ST, which is this guy right here, it is opposite and congruent to RU. Okay, so that means this is also 18. Then it asks for side VS. Okay, so again, we're assuming this is a parallelogram. Okay, so the diagonals bisect one another. Okay, so this half is 7, so this half is also 7. Next, and let's get rid of this all for a moment. Next, it wants us, okay, to find VT. So VT is half of this diagonal right here. Well, how can we find it? Well, it tells us right here that RT, this whole thing is 30, okay? So basically, we just want half of that whole length, so that would just be 15. So this is 15. Next, it says solve for X and PN. So again, we are to assume these are parallelograms. It says that at the beginning. So these sides are opposite and therefore congruent. Okay, so they're going to be equal to one another. So let's translate what we just said in English. They are equal to one another. Let's translate that into the language of math. And to solve, we just put that in math language, set them equal to one another. Okay, so I need to solve for X. So I'm going to move all my X's on one side and all my numbers on the other side. Okay, so boom, boom. So this goes to 4x equals 32. Okay, so divide 32 by 4. You get x equals 8. So x is 8. It wants p in. So just plug x in to be 8. So 5 times 8 plus 7. That's 40 plus 7, which is 47. Okay, that is it for today. Thank you.